The movie begins with a bullion van crew loading up for a delivery. As they drive out of the depot, they encounter a construction roadblock. Suddenly, they're ambushed by robbers who blow the door open and frag the van. We then see Hill Patrick in an office, being briefed on his new job and how dangerous it is. He learns they've recently lost staff on a job where a civilian was killed. Bullet, his target practice instructor, takes him for a physical and firearms assessment. Hill deliberately scores average. Next comes the van driving test, where he scores 70%. Afterward, he's introduced to the staff in the locker room. Bullet gives him a locker, but Dave quickly rattles him. At the armory, Hill complains that they're given only pistols, despite facing machine gun-wielding robbers. He's disrespected again, first by Dave, then by the CCTV security guard, Sticky John. Bullet formally introduces Hill to Dave as his van partner, replacing Sticky John. Bullet will also ride along as his instructor. Dave warns Hill about how dangerous the job is, telling him we're not predators, we're the prey. In the van, Dave asks if Hill heard about the recent murder of their co-workers during a robbery. Hill says he has. Dave adds that what Hill doesn't know is that he was supposed to be on that truck that day. Shocked, Hill listens as Dave explains he called in sick, but the police suspected him of being involved. Bullet interjects that Dave was lucky to have an alibi since he was at his mom's place. They arrive at a bank for a $2 million pickup. Bullet and Hill complete the run and return to the depot. Protocol requires everyone to show their faces before entry. The workday ends. Dave complains to Bullet that he still prefers Sticky John as they clock out. A co-worker named Stuart claims Hill has a dark aura, thinking Hill is overqualified for the job. Dana interjects, saying they all are. Bullet, surprised, later invites Hill for drinks, a tradition. Hill asks for a minute. When Bullet leaves, Hill secretly checks the employee roster and takes a photo. Meanwhile, Sticky John complains about Hill behind his back for taking his job, claiming the boss demoted him to the CCTV station. He then confronts Hill, forcefully offers to buy him a drink. Hill declines. Sticky John asks Hill about his work history. Hill tosses him $1 and tells him to leave him alone. Hill discreetly steals his badge. The next day, during a $10,000 drop, Bullet takes too long inside. He radios that he's been kidnapped as masked robbers order Hill and Dave to drive the van to a location. Dave panics, but Hill remains calm, telling him to comply. The robbers bring Bullet out and instruct Hill to throw the money into a truck. Hill complies, but intentionally drops one bag on the ground. When a robber angrily steps out to pick it up, Hill opens fire and kills them all one by one. Dave freaks out while Bullet is shocked. Hill chases the last robber, asks who he works for, and when the robber refuses to answer, Hill shoots him. Hill is called in by his boss and federal agents. They show him footage of the infamous robbery that killed his son, asking if he thinks there's a connection. Hill says there is no connection and leaves. Later, his boss informs him company policy dictates PTSD leave after such an incident. Hill coldly replies, "I was paid to do a job. I did my job." Blake, the owner of the Fortico depot, persuades Hill's boss Terry to promote Hill for saving the company's money rather than suppress his talents. The federal agents know who Hill really is. They've tracked him for 25 years. They know he's a gangster and a thief now working at the money depot. Their boss tells them to leave him alone and look the other way. At the armory, Hill now commands respect. When he walks into the bullpen, the staff applaud him. 3 months later, Hill and Bullet are ambushed while driving through the city. Paintballs shatter the windows and tear gas floods the van. Robbers order them to open the door and lie down. Hill refuses, shows his face, and the robbers flee. Terry is confused about the incident, while Blake thanks Hill. Hill later sleeps with Dana. Afterward, he wakes up and tells her to come to the living room. When she refuses, wanting to sleep, Hill orders her to sit. He confronts her about the pile of stolen money he found in her apartment. She denies wrongdoing until he fires a shot near her chair. She then confesses she skimmed $125,000 from a bank, They forgot it and she kept it as her retirement fund. Hill asks if she's working with anyone on the inside. She says no. He warns her she can keep the money, but if he finds out she's lying, he'll kill everyone she loves. It's revealed Hill is the leader of a crew of thieves planning to rob the depot. They needed surveillance on Fortico. Hill and his son were nearby during the infamous robbery. His crew asked him to confirm the van's route. Hill parked his SUV at a distance with his son inside, unaware another crew was about to strike. As he ordered 2 burritos, shots rang out. His son was killed and Hill was shot and wounded. After recovering, he learned of his son's death and was confronted by his son's mother, blaming him for the tragedy. Hill met with a federal boss who gave him a list of possible suspects. Hill begged him not to interfere, claiming he could do in 2 weeks what the feds couldn't in 20 years. The boss agreed to let Hill do his worst. Brandon, one of Hill's gang, feels guilty for sending Hill to the surveillance spot. The gang assures him it wasn't his fault. They pledge to help Hill find the killers. Hill only wants the name of the shooter. The gang says they've already scoured every crew in the area with no luck. Hill interrogates another suspect, Jerome. They break into his house, drag him out of bed and ask nicely if he knows about the robbery. Jerome flexes and refuses. They bag him, take him to a warehouse and torture him. Hill arrives and repeats the question. When Jerome still refuses, they bring in his daughter. He gives a name. Hill releases Jerome, ordering $200,000 in compensation. They raid the named gang's den, find $2.5 million, but realize they're not the culprits. Hill kills them all anyway. His aide begs him to rethink killing indiscriminately, suggesting it's an inside job. Hill agrees and secretly assumes a new identity with the help of Coasty, who also does background checks on all Fortico employees. Even Hill's own gang doesn't know he's back in town. They were the paintball robbers. The backstory of his son's killers, a group of retired soldiers. They sit around complaining about boring lives. Their boss, Sarge, works at a grocery store. Another soldier complains about his rich oil tycoon boss who refuses to pay overtime. Gene, the eventual killer, suggests robbing him. They pull off the robbery, netting only $110,000. Gene complains the amount is too small, suspecting shady dealings. Sarge proposes they rob a casino next, posing as cleaners. It goes smoothly. Sarge warns the team not to quit their jobs or make flashy purchases. Gene stands out as the rebellious one. Later, they celebrate Sarge's birthday. Sarge proposes their biggest score yet, robbing a cash transfer truck. They train and recon for 6 weeks. On the day, dressed as construction workers, they see Hill leaving his son in the SUV. They wonder if it'll be a problem. During the robbery, Gene kills 2 guards. When he sees Hill's son witness the murders, he shoots the boy point blank. The crew panics at killing a kid and flees as Hill runs to his son. Months later, Hill is still undercover at Fortico, hoping the killers will surface. The soldiers, now confident the heat has blown over, plan one last score. a Black Friday heist at Hill's depot, over $150 million. Sarge warns the job is dangerous, but they agree. The plan relies on an inside man. Sarge assures them he has one. On Black Friday, Terry briefs his staff that $180 million is arriving and expects no hiccups. Sarge visits John and sees he bought an expensive apartment and bike. Sarge warns him to return them. Meanwhile, Bullet confesses to Hill he's the inside man. He helps crews hit trucks, providing intel. He says the guards' deaths were unnecessary. The kid was an unfortunate accident. He's removed bullets from his gun and warns Hill the gang will kill him if he doesn't cooperate. Hill coldly asks what's in it for him. Bullet replies, his life. Bullet drives Hill to the meetup point, disables the van camera. Sticky John radios about the malfunction. Bullet says he'll fix it. The army gang arrives. Sarge warns Hill not to play hero. They tie him up and infiltrate the depot. Another group with Gene follows in an SUV. Inside, they seize Terry and Dave. Sticky John sounds the alarm. A shootout begins. They blow a secure door, gain access to CCTV in the armory. Sticky John begs for his life. The SUV crew enters. Brad is shot. SWAT is on the way. They have 8 minutes. Hill is still tied up as the army gang loads cash into bags. A staffer approaches Dana and a colleague hiding in a truck, reminding them of protocol. He's ignored and attacked as the gang continues loading. A distracted guard near Hill loses focus. Hill takes him out as Terry and Dave watch. SWAT is on the way. Hill cuts himself loose, freeing Terry and Dave. They ask him what he wants them to do. He tells them they can do whatever they like. Dave wants to help. Terry stops him. Hill steals a gang costume, kills one robber, and hides his phone in one of the money bags. Dave is shot as he contemplates helping. Terry is ordered out and is attacked by Hill. Dana and Stewart investigate, pick up machine guns. Dave gasps for air as he sees Hill finishing off the man who shot him. Dana starts shooting at the gang. They're trapped. Bullet sees that, runs to Stewart asking for a gun, sneaks behind the robbers and shoots them point blank. Hill, walking out, sees the gang trying to escape. He picks up a gun and opens fire. Dave helps. Brad is killed. Bullet then shoots Hill. Deceives Dave, shoots him too, packs up the last bag, and escapes. Hill sees Gene driving out, rams police vehicles, and escapes in hot pursuit. Sarge instructs Gene to stick to the plan. They enter an underground garage with a hidden access tunnel. Sarge is shot in the neck and bleeds out. Gene murders him. Bullet asks for Sarge. Gene tells him he's dead. They escape on ATVs toward a parked car. As Gene opens the gate, Bullet pulls a pistol to kill Gene, but he's too slow. Gene shoots him, takes all the cash, and drives out, evading police, who are only just discovering the hidden tunnel. That night, Gene relaxes after a shower, sitting at a table with cash piled up. He hears a phone ringing and initially thinks it's his own, but finds it inside a money bag. It's Hill. Gene hears Hill's voice. Gene asks what Hill wants. Hill tosses him his son's autopsy report and orders Gene to read it aloud. Bullet A, penetrated the liver. Bullet B, ruptured the spleen. Bullet C1 and C2, lacerated the heart. Cause of death, homicide. Hill shoots Gene in the liver, spleen and heart, matching his son's wounds. Gene dies. Hill leaves the apartment, meets the Fed boss at the entrance. They agree they're squared. Hill leaves the scene, gets into a waiting sedan, and drives away.